Let's go! Bryce Underwood commits to LSU. Comment below, is this the best Tigers recruit of all time? Y'all, let's freaking go! Give Joe Sloan and the Tigers a lot of credit for getting this done. So, a little bit later, I'm going to reveal one insane stat that kind of goes along with the Colin Hurley narrative, and we're going to break down the timeline, plus one very interesting quote that Bryce Underwood gave in an interview that will raise your eyebrows, okay? So, first thing I want to discuss is Joe Sloan. Obviously, this was a difficult recruitment because everybody wanted Bryce Underwood. Bama really turned up the heat recently as Underwood had a visit there. And then, of course, Mike Denbrock leaving to Notre Dame. The fact that Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly were still able to get this done, you give them an absolute lot of credit for that. Also, give some of the other LSU players that are committed in this class a lot of credit. DeCorian Moore really helped out in this recruitment as well. So that obviously is a really good thing for what could be the best recruiting class in LSU history, which is the 2025 crop. Just to give you one stat right off the jump, this is the first time since 2009 LSU has had 3 5-stars committed that all were ranked nationally inside the top 15, according to the On3 composite ranking. So this could be the first film clip that we break down. Bryce Underwood, while he is a dual threat and he is a runner, that's not really, the best part of his game, but you see him take on this block or this unblocked player, and then look at this cutback. And this is in a state championship game. Just like Louisiana, they play their state championship game in the NFL stadium in that state. So, look, Michigan, they took a 2025 quarterback, and that pretty much made Bryce Underwood say, nope, not going there. And of course, LSU just getting him on campus, right, for a camp earlier this year where Bryce Underwood dominated an underclassmen camp where James Simon was there and many other really elite recruits. So that was always something that helped LSU in this process. But once again, just give BK so much credit for getting this done. Now, I'm going to reveal something here. In the background, you have been watching his freshman highlights, all right? And this is going to get even wilder. So in the background, you're looking at now his sophomore highlights. We've not even looked at the junior highlights, and I want you to see this, okay? The athleticism to take on this second-level blitzer, and this is one of the nastiest ankle breaks I have ever seen. I mean, get the caution tape and chalk outline out for 33. I mean, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Bryce Underwood, that was just absolutely gross. And what you're about to witness in this sophomore tape is some of the best quarterback play you will ever see. When it comes to ball placement, when it comes to ball velocity, when it comes to overall confidence within the scheme. And one thing I will tell you is, yes, you could see that the level of high school competition in the state of Michigan isn't quite what it is in Louisiana, and you do see a really good group of wide receivers and a really fun offensive scheme. Lots of RPO, pull reads, kinds of things. I want you just to realize how smooth Bryce Underwood actually operates within this offense. And one thing that really stood out to me, normally when you see like an athletic marvel quarterback, you see him, twirling around, making all different types of plays. But what's very impressive with Underwood is most of these plays you see are within the framework of the offense, right? It's not him just being an absolute ridiculous athlete. That is part of it, but it's the decision-making, right? It's the anticipation. It's the ability to just throw the football with how the play is designed. That showed you a very elite athlete, and you can also see he can make off-platform throws such as this, okay? Obviously, protection here breaks down. He rolls out to the left, and I want you to see this arm strength. He's stumbling. Look at this. I mean, look at the arm strength to fire this in to where only his guy could get it. I'm telling you, this stuff is absolutely surreal. So you look at him, he was Gatorade National Player of the Year this year, which is absolutely ridiculous. This run right here was on 4th down, so when you really needed it, he's just running by people like it's nothing, and it's just breathtaking. I don't think I've ever seen any quarterback prospect as good as this one coming to LSU, at least since Ryan Perlew's high school tape, where his high school numbers were nothing short of incredible. And that's probably going to be the guy that he gets comped to the most coming out of high school, because he is just such a transcendent level athlete. But the timing is what really stands out to me. His red zone ball placement. We'll show you another clip at the end here from his actual junior tape that it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. In the rain, absolutely horrible weather, still throws dimes. It just doesn't matter what this guy is up against, whether it's bad protection, good protection. The guy just continues to deliver dime after dime after dime. Honestly, the processing is what really stood out to me. Now, there are some things that I think could use some improvement. I've watched his entire final game of this past season, and that was a game that they actually lost. And we'll get into how his actual junior season in his career has gone up to this point. The way I understood it, and please, Belleville is the name of the high school, and ironically, their nickname is the Tigers. If you are someone from that area, please correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe the state championships that Bryce Underwood won as a freshman in high school and as a sophomore in high school were the first 2 state championships in this program's history. So Bryce has led this program to heights it had never seen before. That matters, right? This is a community school. This isn't some IMG academy where everybody's a 5-star and he's just running everyone over. There are other talented players on these high school teams that have gone on to Division I Power 5 schools. But the fact that they won 2 state championships, they won on an absolutely crazy winning streak, and it's also important to point out that this isn't, there was a 5-star named Cade Klubnik, who's now the quarterback at Clemson. He never played in competitive games. Bryce Underwood, there were a few competitive games mixed in there. Obviously, a lot of blowouts, which is pretty obvious when you have a 5-star quarterback this good and a good program. But there was a lot of close games that he needed to go out there and win, and I think that's a really good thing, right? Because that's how major college football games go, right? We want quarterbacks that have that big game, tight game experience, and he's got some of that. But the fact that he's won all these games in a row lets you know how ridiculously dominant he's been as a high school player. Some of his camp performances are ridiculous in 7-on-7 settings, and that does mean something, because when you're in some of these camp settings, you're going up against better players and a more variety of players, and with brand new receivers, right? It's not someone that you have a whole lot of rhythm with. He has some absolutely ridiculous throws in 7-on-7 settings. This guy is a real deal. I am all in on the hype here. Obviously, I'm gonna try and do this. We'll do a breakdown of the state championship game that he lost. The game was rough, but outside of that, I mean, it's truly crazy that this guy is this good so far and so young in his career. Now, is he the best LSU Tigers commitment of all time? The answer to that is objectively yes. If you actually go look at the 247 composite numbers, you will see that his recruiting ranking as a composite 247 guy, you're taking a look at some slides here, it is higher than that of Leonard Fournette, right? But Leonard Fournette was also a Louisiana running back. He was a guy that always wanted to go to LSU. So this is the most impressive commitment. And ironically, DeCorian Moore, the 5-star receiver that's committed to LSU for 2025, he's also a top 5 recruit of all time. You're also taking a look at some of DeCorian Moore, Bryce Underwood statistics, and you see how ridiculous they are. So it's ridiculous. Gatorade Player of the Year, all that good stuff. This guy is so freaking good. And I just kind of want to just sit in silence while these highlights play in the background. Now, there are other things that are going to go into whether or not he is going to be successful. Obviously, one of those things is his drive. Is he going to put foot to gas pedal when he gets to Baton Rouge? Is he going to have that hunger that the Jaden Daniels and the Garrett Nussmeyers have had to get them to the point to where they are? That's all very important when it comes to being a great LSU or just a good player anywhere. But how the timeline works out is what's going to be very interesting. And I want you to listen very closely.
What are some things that you want to achieve while you're in college playing football?
Being a freshman starter.
So that was Bryce Underwood saying, I want to start right away. Of course, that interview was a while back. Maybe his opinions on that have changed. But before I give you my thoughts on if it's plausible that he is a true freshman starter, let me tell you about what we do here on PHL. If you're a diehard LSU football fan, this channel is for you. We have live streams, and if it's in your heart's desire, support an independent creator with a super thanks. Yes, it could happen. Now, for him to start as a true freshman, of course, he is a rising senior, so a class of 2025 guy. It would require Garrett Nussmeier making the jump to the NFL. Let's say Garrett does do that. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's kind of hard to say at this point if that is something he wants to do. Well, that would leave the QB1 position open, and that battle would come down to Ricky Collins, A.J. Swan, and, of course, Colin Hurley coming in, and maybe another portal quarterback coming in. But Bryce Underwood can win it. Now, it's going to be really hard. That was him actually throwing a pass to James Simon. This is him in the background with Joe Sloan. All right, so this is the state championship game that they lost to snap their crazy winning streak and their two-time state championship. One fun fact, I believe his father is the running backs coach of this team. So it's fourth down. This is after a delay of game penalty, and you'll see right at the jump, the right tackle gets beat really bad. Now remember, this is 4th and goal, and while he is getting absolutely smothered, he really couldn't step into this. I want you to see this ball location. I understand that it wasn't complete, but a BTJ, a Shelton Sampson, someone along those lines, a Decorian Moore is making this catch, and you'll see why on the replay, okay? So, and it was a good effort by 12. I do want to include one crazy stat about Bryce Underwood, and it's one that also applies to Colin Hurley. He is very young. Bryce Underwood, age-wise, is actually closer to a 2026 recruit than a 2025. Colin Hurley was a 2025 recruit that ended up being a 2024. So, is that a good thing? Well, yes, because both of them have dominated their competition at a very, very young age. Now, I want to show you the end zone angle just to give you an idea of how ridiculous of a throw this actually was. So the protection is broken down, and he's got to throw this ball. It is amazing how good he is at staying within the framework of the offense. If he rolls out to the right, it's a very difficult throw to make because you have in-breakers going to the left, right? So he decides to throw this ball over this player who's hitting him, and you'll see that this receiver actually stumbles. You see how he stumbles right there? If he's able to keep his feet, he probably doesn't have to leave his feet as early, and he's probably catching this football in bounds. But because he had to leave his feet early, it caused him to go out of bounds. Still, that ball placement is absolutely ridiculous. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about Bryce Underwood. Am I overhyping him? I think this is going to be really special for LSU. And of course, there's a lot that can change from now until actual signing day. But let me know what you guys think down below. And even after getting crushed, you see him just pop right back up. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Let's go, Bryce. Love it. And tonight, we're doing gumbo. It's gumbo weather, baby. Let's go. And Decorian Moore and Harlan Berry's videos are floating in your face. Let's go.